Well, boys and girls, it's that time again. It's time for the Successful Home Inspector Show, where we're here to share some funny home inspection stories, maybe some funny things that you found, how to increase your business. We're going to hear some success stories, maybe some stories that weren't so successful. Maybe we can learn from it. And we're going to share some resources here with you that help increase your business, and we're hoping to help raise the level of the industry as well. So sit back, and here's your host for the Successful Home Inspector Show, Preston Sandlin. Thanks a lot. Are you struggling to make your home inspection business grow? Well, have I got the answer for you. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. At HomeInspectionFlyers.com, you get 5 flyers a month. There are 3 sales flyers and 2 recipe flyers. And you can customize them to exactly what you want. And these make great flyers when you go to the offices to put in their boxes, especially if you're doing like candy bowls or something along that nature. Like I said, it's 5 flyers a month for $29.99, and they're very creative. And you just put in your information. They come as a publisher file, and you just put in your information, and then you send them off to get printed. You can send them off online, and you can get color copies for less than 10 cents a copy. It's a great way to go. I went from being a 1-man home inspection firm to a 7-man home inspection firm on this one strategy alone. So try it today. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. Thanks.
Good introduction line, but I am here with John Tyler. He's a good friend. I've known John about 4 years. He has a multi-inspector firm in Phoenix, Arizona, and I've watched his business explode. So he's obviously doing something right. So, John, if you could, thanks for being with us, and I'd love to hear a little bit about your business. If you could tell us about you personally.
Hey, Preston, so glad that we had a chance to talk about this. And so far, I've really loved all the episodes listening to this podcast. My name is John Tyler. Oh, you're welcome. My name is John Tyler. I own, with my wife, Checklist Inspections in the Phoenix area. I'm married, have 4 children that range in age from 32 to 23, and we have 2 grandchildren.
Wow, I did not know that about you. Well, cool. Well, John, tell me, nobody really grew up wanting to be a home inspector. Tell me how you got into home inspection, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
I hear you.
So, actually, I'm a licensed aircraft mechanic, and I work for manufacturers, several of them, and I didn't like the instability of layoffs if a contract you didn't have any responsibility for wasn't being renewed, if an airline your company did work for filed bankruptcy, because both those things happened to myself.
Oh, man.
So I was looking very hard of what I could have control of.
Right.
It wasn't the failure or not working, it was completely out of your control. So while looking around for different things to figure out, we knew someone who was moving back to Chicago and started Checklist Inspections in 1998.
Okay.
And then in 2003, we took over.
Okay. Okay.
So we had this will be my 11th year of doing home inspections, but you being able to use that name, we're able to show a longer period of time of how long the company was around, which did help in the beginning. It wasn't I had no experience. It was the company was a little bit longer.
Right. Okay, so that 11 years, that leads into my next question. In those 11 years, John, what changes have you seen?
Well, I've definitely seen it grow and become more mainstream.
Right.
I joined right when our state was making licensing a requirement, which sort of helped. I've also seen it grow. It's not just guys hanging a shingle out.
Right.
It's becoming an actual trade.
Right.
With standards that just don't states follow, but we have, the national associations are even more known than they used to. Now we're starting to grow where people are members of more than one association, taking advantage of their different items that they're able to.
Right. That leads me to a question. What all is involved in getting licensed in your state?
In Arizona, it used to be 80 hours of classroom. They've increased that because now we have an actual standard for pool inspections, which we have the highest, I believe, the highest rate of pools in the nation, which makes sense. The vast majority of inspectors here do it. Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely hot, and the ground, it's easy to dig in and put them in. And then there's 30 parallel inspections, and then taking the national test.
Okay. Do y'all have pools? I mean, year round? Can you swim year round? Or because here, we have to in the winter we close it down for sure. You rarely have people cover them up here. In the winter, we don't have to drain pools, though the water's getting a bit chilly if you're swimming in the 60 and 50 degree water. It does cool down, but we have a lot of pool heaters, so some people are swimming year round. I'll tell you, I've never. Well, I actually have been to Phoenix, but just the airport. But I've been to Vegas a couple of times, and it's amazing the temp. I guess because you have the dry air, it gets really hot during the day, but at night, man, it gets cold because that radical change. And the pools at the hotels, it may be really hot, but it's still a little bit chilly.
Yeah, and then with it, how dry it is, it's amazing. You'll be 110 out. You'll go swimming. But you hop out and you start shivering because the water's evaporating off of you so fast.
Oh,
it really does cool you down.
I was wondering if I'd had too many margaritas, but it was. I'll go with your answer.
You still did.
Okay. I hear you. Well, John, we talked about in the introduction that you have grown, and I've seen it, and it's awesome. How many inspectors do you have now?
So I have one plus myself, and then we have a couple trainees right now that we're going through and that are about to be out. Okay.
Well, now tell me, what was it like hiring that first guy? Can you take us to that moment? Because, I know a lot of listeners out there are struggling with hiring somebody, and I struggled with it. Tell us what that was like. Take us there.
Oh, that was really tough. I followed. I have some mentors and other inspectors that already have gone through that I relied heavily on. And even now, I probably am a little too harsh at my interviews, if you will, of finding the right candidate. But I am glad for the first one that we were able to do that.
Right.
I did follow a lot of people on basically using them as an assistant at first and sort of slowly let them progress into it, so it's not as much trial by fire and not giving them too many opportunities to make too many mistakes in the beginning. One of the positives of that while training someone and building up the business is all of a sudden I can do 50% more a day. Doing 3 a day was much easier because I had someone running around the ladder, setting up the computer, hitting the windows, outlets, doors. And then slowly I was going sort of by system and training them what to look for, and then handing more and more off to them as they were progressing along.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I used to, when I was training, and still training, I always tell people in the beginning, you're going to be a fly on the wall on an inspection, but by the end of the training, I'm going to be the fly on the wall, and, we're going to slowly transition flies, so to speak, I guess. But
you're right, and I was... Because of the advice I had, it was also teaching them what to say very early on, and they could see how I describe a roof problem and what words are being used. Right.
Well, we kind of answered my next question. I was going to say, do you have a training process? But do you have anything other than, and I know a lot of times your first guy, it's just kind of having them with you. But as you start to hire more and more, do you see yourself maybe getting a training process? And that's a difficult question because every guy walks in with different experience. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we've, to some degree, it's going to be on these next people. It's getting more and more fleshed out, as you will. writing up the process. The ultimate goal is to basically have a 1-inch binder that does everything, that is our training, if you will, or at least on the company side. And then that first one, the first guy who's doing fantastic, I still feel so bad for. Because of the mistakes I made training him.
Right.
And so it is easier as it's coming along, knowing, oh no, I'm going to handle this part first instead of this part. So we're creating that as a much more fleshed out system. I did learn much earlier start on the computer side as well.
Right, and John just said something to all the listeners out there that he just gave a golden nugget. If you're thinking about hiring a guy like I did, he did, we're going to make a lot of mistakes hiring. Talk to somebody who's already hired somebody, preferably not in your market. John, would you be willing to talk to somebody if they called you about hiring if they're not in your market?
Oh, definitely.
Cool. John, we'll switch gears here just a little bit. Tell us about do you have a success quote you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I have a couple that I really like.
Okay.
And that, at least for me, really meet up with something. One's Winston Churchill, who has such a plethora of good quotes or
Absolutely.
good things to live by.
Right.
So, and one of his is, success is not final and failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Awesome. Love it.
And it's not just to not get so down on yourself for any of the mistakes or failures, but also not to rest on any laurels with success.
Right. Excellent. Go ahead.
And Bill Gates had something real similar, and he says, success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose.
Oh,
so you always want to,
Can I steal
focus
that
on
for my Facebook, John? Is that all right?
Please do.
Please
do.
It's very much along the line. In Phoenix, and I'm looking to buy a house. There's plenty of choices, lots of other inspectors. Why should I hire you?
Well, one thing that as a company we really put forth that doesn't take any words to say or show is the professionalism.
Right.
Whether it's our uniforms, our wrapped vehicles, we have the same toolboxes with the same organized setup of tools. That is able to show that we're not just either fly-by-night or not always present, that we have actual office people that are answering a phone, so it's not someone in the middle of an attic, and those are ways to help build confidence for anyone that's going to call, including all the way to someone who just wants to price just price shopping. Well,
sure.
You got a hold of us. Where other people may have had to leave a message or phone tag or anything else. And a lot of our follow-up with both the realtor and the clients, we really try to approach the process differently, such as being, and I know you are yourself, charge neutral in things that are happening. Much more than experience or being a part of association is what really builds the confidence in both the home buyer and in the real estate agents.
Absolutely. And John, no offense to any of the listeners out there, I have scheduled inspections in the attic. It's been a long time, but I'm with you. I was like, man, there's got to be a better way than this. And once you get systems in place, and you're absolutely right. Well, John, tell us, what do you do in your spare time?
What's the spare time you speak of?
All right, what do you do when you're not doing it?
Right. Now that the kids are older, I end up spending more time playing with the dogs. We have 2 Labradors and a German Shepherd.
Right.
You asked about swimming in the cold. My dogs don't mind how cold the pool is. They'll still go on in. My wife and I enjoy hiking and camping. We've the last few years have had more travel, which is actually sort of fun. And when we do have things, whether it's an association meeting that we're going to together or other events, we actually now try to go a couple days early or stay a couple days later now that we're able to.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm the same way when we can, because I've been to so many of those conferences and stuff, and you know, you're all excited. You're going to this town, and normally you think I'm going to go see the sights, and all you see is the hotel and the airport. It's just not as fun. Well, tell me, John, tell us something about that people probably don't know about you.
Back in my younger days, I did a lot of backpacking, including week-long excursions. I've done rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, just under 70 miles twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, how long does that take?
6-7 days.
Whoa, so you're camping
End up taking off.
The whole 9 yards. Man, my wife and I, our only experience camping is when we were dating, and we were both school teachers. And we weren't camping because we liked it. We were camping because we were poor. And, oh, man, we still had the tit stuff. We were not professional. And, you know, people didn't tell us, or we weren't aware that raccoons eat your stuff at night. And that's a whole other story, but a funny one. Remind me next conference. I'll tell you about it. But, well, John, you know as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an happy camper. You know, and how do you handle this? Do you have a process? What does that look like?
We do have a process. First and foremost is you answer back quickly, whether
Right.
it's an email, a phone call, and they need to talk to somebody, and whether it's the ladies up at the office or myself, we got a call. You always be empathetic, even if it has nothing to do with you. Because
Right.
sometimes you find out it's during final walkthrough, you know, and they'll even agree it worked. Now what happened? And my job is to try to figure out a solution. We have a recent one. The new dishwasher came in. The person calls and says the person who's installing the dishwasher, clothes washer, he's not able to turn the valves. Well, I just had to go and do it myself, just hold it on with a wrench. It didn't even need new ones. And we don't test those valves, as you full well know.
Right.
We aren't going around at a vacant house doing it. The house isn't that old. But to be able to drive out real quick in the evening, fix that up for somebody, I just know other inspectors whose answer would be not my problem.
Right.
And leave it at that.
No, I think you did the right thing. In a common theme when I ask this question, and I know this to be true, is the quicker you can handle something, the better it seems to grow and spiral. And, you know, if you told them not my problem, well, you know what, you've ticked them off, and now they're going to find something or get on the internet, blow you up. You know, I think you did the exact right thing, and maybe you turned it, you know, into a positive. Now that person might be out and, you know, be one of your best advocates.
And saying it's not my problem does not give you any ability to either call the realtor and let them know.
Right.
That you fixed someone's problem.
No, you're exactly right. Well, John, this is a good spot here to pause for a sponsor, so we're going to pause.
Hey, home inspectors out there, I'm going to tell you a creative, inexpensive way to increase your business massively. Go to homeinspectionflyers.com and get the flyers. You get 5 flyers a month. You customize them to yourself. They're turnkey, they're creative, and it's $29 a month for 5 flyers. That's less than $6 a flyer. And they are done by yours truly, Preston Sandlin. And I am a creative guy, especially when I don't take my medication. But I come up with some crazy stuff. It works for my business. I went from 1 inspector to 7 inspectors with this strategy alone. So again, for $29.95, you get 5 flyers. I do 1 per week. I send them off to get copied on the internet. I can get them for about 7 cents a piece, and I put them out in the boxes when I do my candy run. Works fantastic. homeinspectionflyers.com. Thanks.
All right. Well, we're back here with John Tyler of Phoenix, Arizona. John, my next question, we talked about this. I think I'm going to change it a little bit, but tell me about a time when you failed. But I think I'm going to change it to, because I do this with my inspectors when we're in a meeting, burned and learned. We go around the circle at the end, because I have this theory, if you ever get burned on something, you'll never get burned on that same thing again. So if we share it, maybe the other person won't get burned on it. But tell us about a time that you burned and learned, and take us there.
Probably the biggest thing is for so many years trying to grow my way. I was a definite technician and still now try to read so much to know on the technical side of how things work and why they work the way they do.
Right.
And then what I really learned was to start listening to others,
right,
as people such as yourself, especially on the business end.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, John, tell us about either an I made it moment or a moment where you thought, I've come a long way.
Well, this may seem a little on the dark side, but bear with me on just for a moment.
Now remember, it's a G-rated show, so
I understand.
Okay.
Understand. This spring, my father, this last April or 2014 April, fell and he ended up breaking both of his wrists. He was a really active 82-year-old, 35 years in the Marine Corps as a fighter test pilot, Naval Academy graduate, class of 1955. And this fall and injuring himself, he couldn't even use his hands to sort of reposition himself in the bed. And as an 82-year-old not moving around, pneumonia sets in and a lot of other problems. It took several months of this, and my wife and I were alternating he lived in Florida while we lived in Arizona.
Right.
She would spend a week there, come back, I would go out for a week. And this went on for several months. He did pass away, and then we had thank you, Preston. We had to clear out the house, have a funeral, and all those things. The reason this is a success is I was flying in the next day, of course, still doing inspections, but while gone, I had an inspector in the field. In each of those months, when I took so much time off and having another office lady other than my wife as well, and she was taken, when my wife was gone, we still beat last year best month ever.
Wow.
We were still having, $30,000 months coming in. That's sort of a success, that we built up systems that for an emergency, for something that anyone should be able to take that time off to be with their father or their mother when they're ill like that. We still paid our mortgages,
right,
and we're working on the business.
I hear you. Well, John, first of all, I want to say that I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that I was kind of joking at the front end of that question because I didn't mean it, I didn't know, but I'm with you. I have the same sort of thing, not that, but my moment was when I realized my business could run without me, and it didn't have to have me right there. That was kind of I've come a long way moment, and I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that hope to get to that, and I'm sure a lot of them are at that, and I don't want to take away from that. But, John, tell us, do you have a favorite book that you could recommend for our listeners?
Yeah, I know this sort of leads to a lot of either the business or marketing books and things like that. And I will say the E-Myth was the 5 or so years ago I read that was the most eye-opening. That really told me to start listening to other people that have figured things out. And that I have to put is so much helpful on that. The first sales book I ever read, I think I was 19, was Tom Hopkins' How to Master the Art of Selling. And my mother had a first edition of his book from when she was a realtor.
Oh, wow.
And as a side note, about 6 or 7 years ago, I inspected his home in Paradise Valley. So it was sort of a neat little loop. Yeah. Cool. And but I want to say the majority of books I prefer, my love of reading is usually history and theology books. But I'm going to tell my favorite in the last couple of years has been Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World. Okay. And it is an easy read, maybe 250 pages, and it is just so fascinating, especially we don't get as much what happened 1,000 years ago sort of towards Asia, but the man took a very small tribe and created the largest empire in the world in 30 years. It's pretty phenomenal.
Wow, good stuff. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with our home inspection. So awesome. I'll write that down. John, tell us about your ancillary services. What do you offer to add more value to your client?
Well, we are, for quite a while now, we're licensed termite inspectors in Arizona as well. So we don't have to make 2 phone calls out here. We're not setting it up with another company. Our inspectors are able to perform the complete termite inspection while up at the house. And that has not only increased the revenue, realtors like the idea that it's the same company that they're going to be dealing with, even on the termite report or anything else. That's probably the main one. Also out here, of course, doing pool inspections. But I would say even if I lived in an area with a low number of pools, they're just pretty darn easy to do. I would definitely perform pool inspections.
Right. You know, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to mention the other is we do sprinkler and irrigation inspections as well.
Okay, cool. Well, and you know, another big advantage of doing these ancillary services is that the realtor doesn't have to meet multiple people there. You know, they can get it all done at once. Do you guys have the super key or, you know, the lockbox key where you are?
Yes, we do. Now, we do have to get a special code from the listing agent, but that gives us an opportunity to contact and get to know the listing agent.
Oh, there's a gold nugget. Anybody listening? Nice. I like it. Well, John, you've been in this, you said 11 years, and you guys are doing a great job. Do you think, what do you think, I mean, you've seen a lot of changes. What do you think that some changes in the future? Do you have any idea? If you had a crystal ball, what would you guess?
Well, on a specific item, I may not be as sure, but I do know this is becoming an actual trade or industry. Guys who go to air conditioning school, the majority of them will start with an air conditioning company. And I think that's the direction our industry is becoming. It's becoming a place of careers where I'm going to train and do this and then go do this for somebody or with somebody. And when you're doing that, you're creating a lot of stability in the market and stability for people working. There are people that are fighting that. There's still curmudgeons, which I see less of than I did 10 years ago. But this is just the result of becoming more mainstream.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. Well, John, have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? I know I have. How did you handle it? Do you have any ideas on how this could be prevented?
The short answer is yes, definitely have been there.
Yeah, we all have.
We definitely try to talk it out and send out our own people that we already know. Contractors, general contractors that we already have relationships with, or anyone that's specific. I have found that been able to help, even if we got to pay for someone to go take a look at it for us. That is sort of our advocate, a third-party advocate, if you will. And how to prevent it, I think the associations, whether it's NACHI or ASHI or anything of those nature, should be much more present at different trades and their associations, being able to teach them about us, that we're not their enemy. Right.
Well, John, another thing that kind of bothers me is some contractors who are become opportunistic. You know, there's some great contractors out there. I'm not saying they're all like this, but I think some contractors run some lead generation type things to get you out to the house for nothing or next to nothing. But they're really not tuning up the system as much as they are trying to sell you a new system, if you know what I mean. Or, you know, the mold thing. I know there's some that every house that has a crawl space has mold, but I don't know if you guys have many crawl spaces out where you are. But do you have any ideas or how we can prevent this or at least slow it down?
Yeah, we can go around at night and flatten their tires. That'll slow it down for the short term.
Right.
It is a difficult thing. We try to fight it against some facts and calmness. You know, even if the roof is that bad, you know, we can be calm about it and not tell them it's, you know, now bad for your health just because your roof is a problem or something of that nature. Recommending people that we already know. We are real quick to give a name of a couple roofers out that when I work with anyone, I always take them to coffee and tell them the same thing. If they ever go to the site and they even see video of me on purpose breaking something, you're going to tell the client there's no way he could have seen that. And then you can call me and tell me how dumb I am or how horrible I am.
Right.
And the idea being that we have these people out being able to not be your advocates and they aren't doing anything, but they know, hey, if something comes up, their job isn't to throw that home inspector under the bus.
Right.
Of what's happening. That helps, we have found. I don't know if you'll ever get rid of, you know, people who just try to milk other people.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and it really upsets me when people use fear to sell them something that they don't need, and that really bothers me. I want to ask your opinion on something else, John. I'm bothered sometimes about what I see on realtor forums not realtor forums, I'm sorry, home inspection forums. And in some Facebook groups, maybe not quite as bad. You know, there's new people in this business. They're asking questions or whatnot. There's a lot of good people on the forum, but unfortunately there's some people that want to tell you how much they know and how much that person doesn't know. And sometimes it gets ugly and it's just unprofessional. Do you have any ideas of how we can keep it positive and professional?
Have you noticed that they have a lot of time to post a lot compared to maybe 10 minutes in the morning?
They're like the trolls of the forum or something, you know.
Well, they aren't out working all day, that's for sure.
Right.
I just, you know, for the most part, I ignore those that just trying to stir up the pot.
Right.
Because I do utilize them sometimes. I've, you know, would just post, well, you know, this is what we do, and that's pretty much all I can say, you know.
Right. I'm with you. Now, John, remember, it's a G-rated show. What's the craziest or wildest or weirdest thing you've ever found on a home inspection?
I think we've all seen a lot of things, but have you found a couple beer cans in the attic before?
Oh, yeah, the liquor bottles in the crawl space.
My favorite was in an attic, and it had pull down. You walk up out of the garage. The guy had a mini fridge up there, and
wow.
There was at least 5 cases worth of empty beer cans strewn everywhere. And I was just thinking, either this guy really had a drinking problem he was trying to hide and had to tell his wife he had to fix stuff all the time, or I'd hate to meet his wife. Maybe she drove him to the attic to go drinking. Who knows?
It might be a combination of the two.
It probably was a mutual thing.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. That is good stuff. So did you have one? I know it was hot up there. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. But you know, for a good cold beer, maybe you do it for anything, right?
Exactly. You know, and I know this has probably happened to you too. People being friendly. You get offered a beer on an inspection. Boy, I'm tempted, but I'm just worried that, you know, something goes wrong and this thing goes south. He was drinking on the job. Have you ever been offered a beer on the?
I've been offered beer, and once they were pouring wine and just even poured me a glass, thinking I was one of the people in the kitchen. So.
Oh, nice. Well, you know, it was my last inspection. It's getting kind of late now.
Yeah, that's right.
John, do you have an internet or a training or an internet or marketing resource you'd be willing to share with everyone?
Yeah, you just recently had Kevin on. Hun Pro has been fantastic. I use it myself, including when, you know, another idea when I've never been sure how to write something up. I've asked it, and then I know my inspectors in the field have it available. And then the other, and you've had Dan on too, ISN has been one of the biggest godsends for our business.
Yeah, I love ISN. Good stuff. And that's for if anybody's listening this first time, it's Internet. Oh my gosh, I should know this. Inspection Support Network.
Support Network, yeah.
Yeah. Well, John, tell me, what is the best part of your job and why, and what is the worst part of your job and why?
Well, I guess the best part was sitting in the attic drinking beer. No, it's helping others. My job isn't just helping the buyer. That is our primary. But it's also to help the seller and both the realtors in the transaction. If we're able to go, most people are trying to be honest.
Right.
I really feel that way. And at least the good agents, the ones that are calling a lot because they're busy, their goal is to actually help people too. They're trying to find the right house for someone, not just sell a house.
Right.
And I like being able to help that out, whether it's finding a solution to an issue that we found or putting things in perspective for people.
Good stuff. Now, do you have a worst part of your job?
Well, I'm tempted to say dealing with the people again. It just sort of if it was a perfect world, all we would do are really good home inspections and nothing else. Sometimes it might go back to those unhappy campers, and when you start doing 1,000+ inspections a year, you're bound to hit somebody that if you gave them a winning lottery ticket, they'd still be upset at you.
You're exactly right. Yeah, dealing with those people is not fun.
Right.
No, I'm related to some of those people. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not. All right, so enough of that. So, John, tell us, is there anything you're working on right now that has you jacked up or excited about?
Training and getting more inspectors out in the field.
Right.
I am definitely excited about. Is something that's both the wife and I are excited about. The big yearly MIC conference in February. We're very excited about that. And that's Millionaire Inspector Community. If anyone didn't know, that is Mike Crow.
Right.
And for our big, we usually that February meeting, we know different services and business approaches that we're going to be implementing for at least 3 months after that. And I'm pretty excited for that push of growth, if you will.
No, good stuff. I'm always excited when I come back from a conference. The only bad thing is, though, I got to catch up with the work that I missed, from home, and but conferences are great. John, if you had to move to a brand new town equal to the size of Phoenix, but you don't know anybody, but you still have all the same knowledge you have now, all the same equipment, you had $5,000, what are you going to do that first week?
I'd start going to real estate offices.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe I'll take some fun and crazy flyers with me.
Hey, I know where you can get some of those.
Yeah, that's right. And I've been using your flyers 4 or 5 years now.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and we might tweak them a little bit more than others to make them our own, which is great.
Sure.
It makes you learn publisher. But we definitely like using them. And not only real estate offices, I have found some of the great partners, not just with lenders, but title people. Because they can get you some really, really interesting information from offices to go to, top agents, top teams, things of that nature.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, I had never thought about that, but that's good stuff, John. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Yeah, I really can't think of anything, Preston, on what should have asked me.
Okay. Well,
I had nothing off the top of my head.
All right. Well, that leads to my next question. Is there any questions you'd like to ask me? Actually,
I'd be remiss. We've known each other for so years.
Right.
You've met my wife. I've met Meg, your wife.
Right.
They have met each other, And every time, whether it's a quick email that I send to you or talk to you on the phone, or if I see you at another conference that my wife's not with me, she always asks, like, hey, I saw Preston, or just talk to Preston. And she'll go, how's Meg and how are the girls? And so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, how's Meg and how are the girls, Preston?
Okay, cool. Well, I can handle that one. I was kind of like, oh, my gosh, where's he going with this? Because this is not rehearsed, so it's on the script. They are great. They are great. Thank you for asking. And tell you why for asking. Fortunately, they are pretty and smart, and they take after their mother, so thank goodness.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. If it wasn't for it's being men with our wives, we'd probably forget the most important things in life. And when she tells me that, so how's this? I realize, I should have asked instead of just talking about business.
You are so right, John. I can't tell you how many times I come back and the same exact thing. I'd say I ran into you or anybody, and that she knows, and she's like, well, did you ask about the wife and kids? Did you? And I'm just like, no. I guess, our minds don't think that, but they should, and you're right. But well, thank you, John. You've been so gracious with your time. I know the listeners appreciate it. You dropped some value nuggets out there. If our listeners wanted to get in touch with you, is there how can they get in touch with you and learn more about you or ask you for advice?
Yeah, a couple. They can always call or an email. My email address is John, JOHN, at CheckListAZ, CheckListAZ.com.
Okay.
And our office phone is 480-361-8120.
Okay.
And actually, I'll even give my cell phone out. This will mainly be to the home inspectors, that we try not to give our inspectors, including myself, cell phone just out to everyone, but filter through the office. But my cell phone is 480-226-9006. I enjoy helping other people, and that includes other inspectors starting out or experienced and have any questions.
That's awesome, John. Let's return the favor to you. Do you have a Facebook page for your business?
Yeah. It's either Checklist AZ or Checklist Inspections. I know people search for it and find it all the time. So, but we can Checklist Inspections in Facebook. You'd end up finding where we are.
Well, guys, if you were out there listening and you got some value for John, do him a favor. Go to his business Facebook and like his page. I'm pretty sure the more likes you have, it helps with SEO and that sort of thing. But, John, thank you so much, and we'll catch you at the next conference. And thank you for your time.
Preston, thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk with you, and I look forward to seeing you in February.
All right. Have a good one, John.
You have been listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast, where we share funny stories and we talk about how to increase your business, and we share some success stories and some not so success stories that we can learn from. We're also here to share resources. You can find out more about today's show in show notes at the successfulhomeinspector.com. Thanks for listening.